Hello and welcome back to Future Forward by CallMiner, the series where we dig into enterprise conversation intelligence, CX automation and AI-powered customer engagement with people who actually live this stuff. So if you're in contact centers or you just care about automation and analytics and how they're reshaping industries like finance, healthcare, retail, telecoms and tech, then you're in exactly the right place. Now, today I am joined by Steve Morrell, Managing Director of ContactBabel, who's been providing expert insight and industry perspectives from across the customer contact space for many years and is rethinking what happens after a customer interaction and how automation can make those moments count without adding more work for agents. Steve, welcome. So let's start with the big one. After a customer interaction wraps, what should happen automatically?
Right. Yeah. Well, I think summarising capture the story of that conversation in a way that's accurate, consistent and useful, not only for the next agent, but also providing insight for the organisation as a whole. We do this already, but it's not to say it has to be done manually. A few stats, because this is ContactBabel after all. On average, agents spend 101 seconds after each call writing notes or call summaries and giving call dispositions. Obviously, depending on the sector and the business and the type of work you're doing, that can change massively. It can be several minutes in some cases, others it can just be a handful of seconds. But that time adds up. We calculate 101 seconds is £1.48 per call. So that's quite a big deal. But just as important, this work's often subjective from the agent's perspective. There's no rigor. They can type in exactly what they want. They might leave out details. They might interpret things differently. They could forget something entirely. So on the other hand, if we have automation in there, and that takes the raw conversation, generates an objective summary without bias and without missing anything. And if there's a list of, say, 50 call disposition codes, for example, the chances of an agent actually taking the time and thought and effort to pick exactly the right one, that's going to be pretty slim. But if we're using automation here, then that is something that then becomes actually, possible, a reality.
So we're talking about freeing agents from the note-taking treadmill while also producing something that's a little bit more reliable.
Yeah, exactly. It's win-win for the business and for the agents. They're not having to spend the time doing this. Also for the next customer who gets their call answered more quickly, because that agent isn't just sitting there typing things up or looking through disposition codes. Summary kind of isn't just a nice to have either. It's, it is a trigger for other events. The process is being kicked off. Things need to be done. And also we've got things like, supervisors, they can spot coaching opportunities without having to dig through every single transcript. Quality teams who can flag compliance issues, straight away. And looking kind of, more detailed, more long-term perhaps, analysts can use summaries to detect recurring problems or emerging trends and understand why customers are calling. And, the end goal, really, the holy grail is try to address that failure demand. So understand why people are calling, do they need to call? And can we solve some of those business processes that are driving that demand?
So that sounds like it's as much as about sharing as it is about documenting.
Absolutely. Key scores, sentiment shifts, language, whether it's missed or hit, they're available to the right people in the workflow instantly. So, for example, if sales see a summary in Salesforce, they can understand what was said and can follow up. If operations see a trend in delivery complaints, they can act before that then escalates. So it's very much, you're not having to wait until the end of the week or the end of the month. You can act in real time and deal with things as you need to.
And I guess by standardizing this, you get consistency as well across the board.
Yeah, the consistency is one of the big advantages. Yes, cutting time and cost is important, granted, but you can actually do a better job on it as well as a cheaper job, which sounds great. One agent's summary shouldn't be wildly different from another for the same type of call, but it often can be. But if automation's applying the same templates and rules, then that creates the consistency that we're after, and that then becomes actionable. So if we've got that, you've got downstream processes like coaching, compliance, customer recovery outreach, they then become more effective themselves.
So basically, automation after every interaction is doing three things. So it's saving agents time, it's feeding those decision makers the right intel, and it's keeping that quality level even.
Exactly. And when you're applying this to every customer interaction, you stop losing opportunities to make more sales or to improve your service. These summaries that we're talking about, they drive improvements in training and customer experience, even long-term strategic changes, as you understand, at scale. exactly what customers are thinking and experiencing. And I think because this isn't so much of a customer-facing activity, it happens within the contact center itself. It can become much relatively lower risk than some of the implementations that we talk about, particularly in terms of AI. And I do think it's really worth looking at this in quite some depth, because that 101 seconds that applies to every call, you don't just get rid of that or trim a lot of that as well. You're actually doing a better job of it, and that's key to understand. It's not either or, it's both.
All right. Well, thanks for joining me, Steve. My key takeaway here is that you don't want to let customer interactions just fade away once they're done. So automate the capture, make it objective, share it instantly, and use it to drive better coaching, stronger compliance, and smarter decisions across the business. So if you're watching, drop your thoughts in the comments. If you could automate one thing after every interaction, what would that be?